This video is sponsored by Surfshark.
We're back! It's lovely to see you all again. So I thought in order to put 2020 to bed once and for all, we should take a look at the events that happened, but I don't want to make it as depressing as 2020 was in itself. I want to concentrate on just the more sort of silly and strange aspects of the year, because I don't fancy more doom and gloom to start off the year with. So let's just take the piss, because what better way to deal with a year that's bullied you for 12 months straight than just bully it right back? Isn't that what they taught us at school? And then what did you do? And then what? Years seem to have got progressively worse since the dawn of time, and after 2020, quite frankly, I think humanity is pretty much done for. We clearly don't know how to pick leaders that are capable of doing the job anymore, so I think with the way things are going, we should just accept the inevitable alien invasion and the subsequent regime we will be subjected to from the planet Glorp. Okay, I don't know why, but when I was writing this video, Glorp was the first word that came to my mind for the alien civilization. Just one word of advice. Don't Google it. And I, for one, will accept the superior Glorp regime for the sheer dream of a brighter future and a competent governance. Okay, for a start, do you know what the word Trump means where I come from? Where I'm from, a Trump has always been a fart. Okay, leave me alone, guys. It's the end of 2020, and fart jokes are the only jokes that are still funny. Okay? Just let this one go. But the extraterrestrials are going to have an idea of what humanity is when they take over this forsaken planet. So I thought this video could serve as a sort of alien education capsule. Something you could all download and stick onto a USB stick and insert as the diagram shows. So it's kept safe during Earth's inevitable heat death in 2021. And as the kind Glorpians beam us over onto their safe planet, will hurtle through the vast darkness of space, and the few lucky ones to survive land naked on the surface of our new home, and they'll be probed by our new masters, and they'll learn all about the culture of our great people. So join me on this rabbit hole of 2020, where we'll be looking at some of the weirdest and wackiest things to happen. But before we get going, we're going to have a word from our sponsor! Surfshark is a VPN which works as a simple app or a browser extension. It masks your IP address whenever you use the internet, and it's the only one that lets you use unlimited devices on the one account. One huge benefit of using a VPN is the protection and the encryption of your data, allowing you to protect your credit card details and passwords from cyber attack, which is super important when using public Wi-Fi. Something we're all going to be using a lot more of once we've got this darn vaccine. Fun fact about VPNs, whenever you connect to one of our great British servers, an old lady with a cup of tea sitting next to a switchboard manually plugs your network cable in.
Tarquin, the American wants to watch another episode of Doctor Who.
Okay, plug him in there.
Very well.
I am of course joking. The data is completely encrypted and nobody has an idea what on earth you are watching. But it is true that you can get access to some great British staples like Doctor Who or Louis Theroux with the Surfshark VPN. If you sign up now using my promo code MÜNECAT, you can get 83% discount and 3 extra months for free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's a link in the description right at the top, so if you'd like to take advantage of the offer whilst also helping me out as a creator, it's right there for you. Everybody wins. Thank you so much to Surfshark for supporting awesome content.
Before we get into the video, we're just going to do a little bit of plugging. The Patreon is linked in the description. There I do podcasts and offer free MP3s of all the music I make and any extra BTS content I have. And extra announcement! I have a merch store. We have the Don't Worry You're Fine Pam shirt and hoodie from the Rachel Hollis video, the Gaslight Me Daddy shirt from the Russell Hartley video. You guys asked for that one, okay? Don't blame me. And the original logo tee if you're a basic bitch kind of person. And then we also have the original logo leggings. Yes, in the most ironic turn of events ever, after doing a 2-part expose on LuLaRoe, I'm now selling my own leggings. And we have hoodies and mugs, including my personal favourite, It's a Pyramid Scheme, for when you have that old friend come round to your house and she starts asking you if you'd like to, you know, work on your own schedule. She starts talking about financial freedom and being your own boss. You can just take this little puppy right out of the cupboard. Just be like, hey, you want a cup of tea? And just start passive-aggressively sipping from it.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
So 2020 started as it was meant to go on. You Americans were trying to impeach the fart, but it didn't work because once you've started a fart, you literally can't stop it. You can't even vote it out in a general election. It's literally impossible, which is something Wendy Williams also learnt live on TV.
I mean, you're lucky you only got battery.
But unlike Wendy, you can't just go on pretending that it didn't happen.
Okay.
Because we didn't have the proper hose and the air was just coming out and it was sputtering like somebody was farting. Okay? So that's what it was.
And as if smelling Wendy Williams' bumhole wasn't enough torture for January, Gwyneth Paltrow thought we might like the smell of her lady hole too, and produced a candle of the scent which sold out immediately. Yes, people were willing to consciously uncouple with $75 of their hard-earned money on a blatant, headline-grabbing marketing ploy of a product to promote her alleged wellness scam, Goop.
It's interesting. It's like the fire is really jump-starting the chemical reactions here in the pussy smells.
Everything at Goop is named after somebody who works with us.
Is anyone getting LuLaRoe vibes? And anyway, apparently you can shoplift from a Goop store if you want and nobody's gonna stop you. Not even GP herself.
I might just walk out of the store with this
You can walk out with it.
You can walk out with it. Do you know how much money I've made from shilling unregulated pseudoscience to upper middle class women? You think I give a fuck if you don't pay at this point? Meanwhile, on daytime TV, we had 80-year-old Iris gleefully bestowing upon us the details of her relationship with her 35-year-old Egyptian toy boy.
And Mohammed slid into your DMs. You weren't too surprised?
No. Nobody'd been near me for 35 years. I thought I was a virgin again. Can I say what we used? A whole tube of KY jelly?
Oh.
I couldn't walk the next day. Yeah, I felt as if I'd been riding a horse.
I'm most amazed at the fact that an 80-year-old knows that DM stands for direct message and not dry mouth. And as if things weren't bad enough, Justin Bieber came out with a new single, which everyone hated. Not satisfied with already being a talented millionaire multiple times over now, with a supermodel wife, Bieber wanted his new song to top the charts, even though people hated it, because that's what you can do in 2020 apparently. So he shared a fan-made slideshow encouraging his fans to stream Yummy on repeat, quietly while they slept. Yes, multiple 14-year-olds were likely spending January sleeping, listening to a man singing about how much he likes to taste his wife. Bieber promoted the song alongside the UK's worst ever export, bar colonialism, James Corden, and in doing so, it emerged that carpool karaoke was a big, fat
No.
Yo, it's the Biebs and Justin Corden. They're doing carpool karaoke.
That is so funny.
Right, I'm taking this hoodie off because I am hot. Continuity, it's coming off. Oh, but don't worry, guys. I happen to have the Don't Worry You're Fine Pam t-shirt right underneath. Isn't that convenient?
What's up, guys? I never wanted to make a video like this.
Over in YouTube land, resident piece of shit J-Station uploaded a memorial video in memory of his girlfriend, Alexia, with acting good enough to rival a wet potato in a snapback with a sad face carved onto it. In response, the YouTube community held a funeral for the last shred of dignity dying in front of our eyes on YouTube. Yes, it turned out the whole thing was fabricated, and he visited a fake memorial beside the road where she was meant to have had an accident and used the whole event to drive subs for his new channel, J Station, in case you were blissfully unaware. Was already infamous before this whole fiasco, after constantly uploading videos of himself contacting dead celebrities about 3 nanoseconds after they'd passed and pretending to have full-blown conversations with them in front of an audience of children. But over here in the UK, you might be surprised to learn that this isn't an entirely new concept. January also brought the death of our infamous medium, Derek Okura, who once did this exact same thing, except on national TV, right after Michael Jackson died. And who do you think Michael wanted to contact first from beyond the grave? Was it his daughter Paris or his son Prince?
Will someone say hello to Quincy Jones for me? Please?
And as if we thought things could not get any worse, Paris Hilton decided to cook a lasagna.
Hey guys, welcome to Cooking with Paris. They're usually for sliving. Still gonna see living it in a different way, like cooking lasagna.
Stop trying to make sliving happen, Paris. It's not going to happen. I love how she has urns in her kitchens as well, just to hold the ashes of those she's murdered with her cooking.
Killed it.
Over in China, a mysterious new virus was reported.
A new type of coronavirus has emerged from the city of
Outbreak of what
Wuhan in
appears
China.
to be a newly
Within
discovered
weeks,
coronavirus
it has spread to
has
several
been detected
countries
in China.
and has killed
It's currently
multiple
being
people.
referred to as novel coronavirus.
Coronaviruses are circulating in animals,
Corona
and some of these
refers to the
coronaviruses
virus's
have the
distinctive
capability
shape.
of transmitting between animals.
Are the
and
words
humans.
about a pandemic
We call that
at
a
this
strict-
point?
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
In rare cases like this one, they can spread to humans.
It's probably nothing.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
February came and we had a short-lived 2020 respite as J Station got arrested for assault and demonetized by YouTube. Caitlin Bennett was swarmed by protesters at a university campus, and someone gave the Pope a pizza, and Harvey Weinstein was found guilty and sentenced to 23 years in prison. We all thought everything was going so well. Aww. However, one hilarious prankster who looks like Harry Potter fucked a hipster traffic cone thought it would be a hilarious joke to pretend that he'd just come off a flight from Wuhan whilst on a crowded plane and announced that he wasn't feeling well.
That was a good one, buddy!
He seemed to want to offer his sincerest apologies during an interview with a reporter, but the very same day he was seen using #virusboy and #WuhanGang on Instagram. Props to him though, his little prank seemed to work. I mean, his SoundCloud account has shot up to a whole 200 followers. Then people started shockingly believing things that they'd read on the internet, with no consideration as to where the information came from and whether it was from real, respected, peer-reviewed scientists.
So I saw this TikTok and this girl said that NASA said today was the only day your broom will stand up on its own because of like the gravitational pull on the planet or something. And so I tried it out.
And people started balancing their brooms on what they believed was the only day of the year they could do this due to the spring vernal equinox.
Watch everybody do a theory with the broom theory. If you put the broom theory down, it sticks up theory. They're saying some theory in the earth of the gravity theory that saying it's a theory. And if it's a theory, I want to know if it's a real theory, because if it's a real theory, that means it's a theory. You know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, Jake Paul got bored, so he did what he does when he's bored. He sets up another scam. This time it was called the Financial Freedom Movement, which about 10 children signed up for. Yes, apparently Jake Paul was confident enough in his own business acumen to sell a course to children about how to be a successful businessman, but failed to realise that it's quite easy for a 9-year-old to ask their parent for a $40 hoodie. Not quite so easy to get a 9-year-old's parent or guardian to agree to a $20 a month direct debit so their child can have lessons on how to become an actual mini Jake Paul, which is exponentially worse. Here in the UK, we were busy interviewing a tree.
How does it feel to be nominated for the European Tree of the Year?
Feels very exciting.
But February also brought something that you Americans seem to get all excited about. The Super Bowl, which confuses us British people because there's no bowling involved and it's not superb. It seems to involve a lot of what you people call football, but there's no ball involved and nobody's actually kicking it. Who's in the name, guys? Anyway, the halftime show is the most exciting part of the whole thing, and I won't share any of it in this video for fear of the licensing gods bashing down the wall with a battering ram. But thankfully we can paint a pretty colourful picture of it in our minds by reading some of the complaints that were sent through to the FCC. I do not subscribe to the Playboy channel. We do not buy for $20 a flick. We simply wanted to sit down as a family and watch the Super Bowl. God forbid we expected to watch football and a quick concert, but instead had our eyes
molested.
The scantily clad butt shots of J-Lo, especially when she turned to the cameras and bent over, was nothing short of hard. Wow. Why was the cameraman so obsessed with showing J-Lo's crotch and anus? An explicit camera view of J-Lo's butt, just barely covering the anus. Offensive and disgusting. Who authorised this show appropriate for children? The tradition of families watching the Super Bowl together was assaulted. Really? Glitter on their fully exposed butt cheeks? Disgusting! We will never watch NFL or buy Pepsi ever again. J-Lo and Shaq should be ashamed. Why is this allowed on primetime national TV? No wonder kids are so grown up and grown men too. Yes, people watched. Yes, people are talking. At what price? Okay, so by the sounds of it, it was a bit like Two Girls, One Cup, but Two Girls, One Super Bowl? Okay, I'll see myself out. I'll see myself out. Shit! I'm already home. I can't even leave the house to go anywhere anymore. Fuck! Meanwhile, Big Ed graced our screens for the first time. On his debut appearance on 90 Day Fiancé, he slithered his slimy way into being a YouTube sensation, and just one of the reasons for his infamy was asking his Filipino fiancée Rose, 31 years his junior, to take an STD test. Ironically, Ed was putting so much mayonnaise in his hair that it literally looked like his scalp had a yeast infection. The virus numbers were increasing exponentially at this point, and with a few more cases popping up in Australia and the US, their governments were starting to prepare for a full-blown outbreak. Trump decided to put haunted Q-tip Mike Pence in charge of the response team after viewing his extensive resume on dealing with outbreaks of disease in the past and his expertise in the medical world. Such achievements included dealing with a 2015 HIV outbreak caused by the use of shared needles among our community by refusing to supply clean syringes, leading to 79 total people infected 20 days later, declaring that smoking does not kill, not believing in climate change, distrust in the effectiveness of condoms, and not knowing what the death rate of seasonal flu is.
I found most of what he said a little incoherent, and you know, he's a guy who admitted that he's surprised that 25,000 to 69,000 people each year die of the flu. That just tells you how little he actually knows about public health and about the health of the American public. He just revealed how ignorant he is about the situation.
So it was a little bit like making a cat general director of the RSPB.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
So March came around and a lot of stuff happened. A lot. We still hadn't got our head around this whole pandemic thing.
Today, start working on not touching your face, because one main way viruses spread is when you touch your own mouth, nose, or eyes.
We had the first Brit to contract the virus. The seriousness of washing your hands started to be heavily pushed. Boris was telling us to wash our hands to the tune of Happy Birthday twice, Even though he wasn't doing that himself, Trump was downplaying its seriousness, comparing it to the seasonal flu.
Whatever happens, we're totally prepared. We have the best people in the world. I really think, Doctor, you want to treat this like you treat the flu, right? And, you know, it's going to be.
People of Florida, however, were socially distancing from common sense by crowding together on the beaches, with some of them complaining that their spring break would have otherwise been ruined. Oh. And what better way to feed online vitriol than to visit the Miami beaches, film people ironically drinking Corona beers in packed bars, and push microphones into the faces of spring breakers who are pissed out of their minds and collecting infuriating vox pops.
If I get Corona, I get Corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying, you know.
Some people had begun to understand that staying at home would reduce the spread. While they were sat at home with an internet connection, however, that didn't stop them from spreading buttery soft misinformation, such as the fact that simply drinking water would wash the virus down through your esophagus, where it would be killed by your stomach acid, or that you could do an at-home test for the virus by holding your breath. So at this point, the fucking brooms didn't seem so bad.
Nah, this is, and when I put the theory, it feels like a magnet theory, like the ground is like a magnet theory.
Then there was the other side of social media, full of people who didn't care about this silly virus or the health of their family and friends. Ugh. The coronavirus challenge became a thing, and we had the licking of toilet seats, which, if you're catching anything from that, is probably gonna be chlamydia. Then there was anger around the clear priority celebrities and the rich were getting when it came to having access to tests.
How are non-symptomatic professional athletes getting tests while others are waiting in line and can't get them? Do the well-connected go to the front of the line?
Well, you'd have to ask them that question. I mean, I've read. No, I wouldn't say so, but perhaps that's been the story of life.
But Gal Gadot and her celeb mates came to the rescue.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you don't have a relative that's dead.
There's a special place in hell for this video.
Imagine all the poor people
living in a semi-detached. They probably don't even have walls.
Imagine a tub with no jacuzzi.
It's really hard to do.
Nothing to kill or die for, 'cause I'm not you. Why did you make me do this video?
Imagine all the poor people looking at my iPhone 11 Max Pro. Oh,
they say, look at her 27-inch iMac 5K Retina display.
Okay, that's enough of that. But you know, perhaps that was better than Vanessa Hudgens' response.
Even if everybody gets it, yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but like, inevitable?
Hi guys, I just wanted to jump on here to just to set the record straight, because my comments were recently taken out of context in the media, and you know what, I don't want to put out more negativity into the world with everything that's going on, so I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna put something nice and positive out into the world. And I thought, I saw Gal Gadot's little ditty, and I thought, you know what, why don't I sing a little song for you guys, you know, make yourselves, you know, feel a little bit better. So so here goes, okay? We're all in this together once we know that we are all stars, and we see that we're all in this together, and it shows when we stand hand in hand, 'cause our deaths are terrible but inevitable. Okay, thank you.
Some celebrities were getting it right though. Even Conor McGregor challenged COVID-19 to a fight.
I know a good tough fight when I see one, and we have one on our hands now. I want to call upon my people, the great people of Ireland. This fight needs us all. We are all in the red corner together, awaiting the bell.
No mention of what else could have been on the fight card though. They could have made a night of it. Khabib versus swine flu. Jake Paul versus the common cold. Khloe Kardashian was busy promoting Febreze on her Instagram with rhinestone Diamante bejeweled spray bottles, which makes sense, I guess. A fabric freshener is probably what people are going to need after using those skinny tea products that she was promoting before, because they make you shit yourself. Jared Leto had no idea what was going on because he'd started a cult where everyone had to dress in white, much like an album party. Actually, very much like an album party, because everyone's a few $1,000s down and secretly regretting all of their life choices while plastering empty smiles across their faces.
Look, I'm having such a good time. I love my life. I like big butts and again I lie.
Sarah Palin appeared on The Masked Singer with her rendition of I Like Big Butts, which... oh my god, it was so cringy. Like, you'd never, ever catch me doing that. Ever.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Then we had the hero of March, Matt Colvin, the man who bought 18,000 bottles of sanitizer to sell at inflated prices on Amazon, listing it up to $70 a bottle. Amazon promptly removed his listings for price gouging, and he became stuck with his hoard in his storage unit. Interestingly, he agreed to an interview on local news wearing a shirt saying "Family Man, Family Business," so you would think that he was hoping to sort of claw back some damaged reputation, wouldn't you? Like saying that he was just, you know, trying to provide for his family in these desperate times.
Would you say you're sorry?
Sorry for purchasing, sorry for buying all of this product?
Praise your bits now! Come on, quick, bits! Betting ends!
No, I don't think that I would.
And then the pastors were weighing in. We had the sensation that is Kenneth Copeland healing viewers through their television sets with his slimy, wet sausage fingers lubed up for Jesus in the middle of a 2-hour-long news segment on his own network, where he peddled the idea that the virus was nothing to worry about because it was only the old and infirm that were affected badly, which was only everyone watching that very broadcast.
Fear not. Write this down.
Let me get a pen and paper.
Fear not occurs 95 times in the Bible.
So we shouldn't have any fear and carry on getting together for prayer sessions like good old Mike Pence.
I don't know, do we have that photo of Vice President Pence having a prayer session? You can show that. There it is coming up on the screen here any second here. There's them getting together and praying.
In the White House.
In the White House.
Because we have...
In the name of Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Standing in the office of the prophet of God, I execute judgment on you, COVID-19.
Oh, Ramash.
I execute judgment on you, Satan, you destroyer, you killer. You get out. We break your power. You get off this nation. I demand judgment on you. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Yes.
This guy has the best hype man in the world. I need this guy to stand behind me in my videos.
Yes.
Finally, the day before my birthday, Boris announced a full UK lockdown. Rude. Without being able to leave our houses anymore, we all tried new things. Even our grandparents were so bored without being able to visit family members, so even they were trying out new hobbies, such as day drinking. This street even took up outdoor dancing to try and keep fit, if you can call it dancing, with the harrowing scenes being broadcast on daytime TV for all the people stuck at home. And it was ironically being dubbed the viral dancing street. Fun fact, if you mute the video and play Down with the Sickness, it makes it 100,000 times more entertaining to watch. Anyway, the rest of us decided we'll all try and show our appreciation in some way to our NHS workers, and collectively applauded on our doorsteps at 8 PM on a Thursday evening. I was, however, living under some kind of rock because I had no idea what was happening and what my mates in the group chat were on about.
The clap? Yeah, for the NHS? Oh, yeah. I'll be joining in. Yep. Okay. All right. What is the clap NHS? Ah!
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
April arrived and COVID remained. And like a bad fart, people were looking for something or someone to blame, not realising that conspiracy theories are actually usually a coping mechanism, because it's comforting to believe that someone, even if it's not yourself, has control over a situation, and it's not just a result of some random event where a bat was eaten at a wet market. And on top of that, there's proportionality bias, tendency to assume that big events have big causes, i.e. people find it easier to believe that a global pandemic is caused by a global deep state conspiracy with the end product of mass surveillance and a new world order. The idea that these new cell towers giving us faster internet connection were planted as part of the plan somehow took hold. Some people thought the towers were put there to spread the virus, even though the virus was spreading in countries that didn't even have the cell towers.
You know, when they turn this on, it's going to kill everyone, and that's why they're building the hospitals. Yeah, how do you feel? Do you have children?
No, I'm young.
Do you have parents?
Just my mom.
Well, how do you feel that when they turn that switch on? Bye bye, mama. Thank you anyway.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Anyone remember back in 2013 when Edward Snowden actually risked his life to leak highly classified information to us about actual surveillance by the government?
An ex-employee of the CIA has become a whistleblower and revealed that the US government and many governments around the world can spy on you whenever they want and have changed laws in order to justify this, and they don't even need your permission to start surveilling you. They could just switch it on whenever they want and not tell you that they're listening to your calls and reading your texts and monitoring everything you do. Your phone already knows this and kept logs of your location dating back from ever since you first started using smartphones, using Wi-Fi networks and GPS and cell towers, and they can track your location within inches at all times. Alright. The government is saying that you need to get this vaccine or you and your family members could get very ill or even die. Wait, what? I ain't having no Bill Gates spying on me. You were put on a birth register as soon as you shot out of your mom's vagina. Your local council, your utility companies, and every shop you've ever bought something from knows your address. Facebook knows where you went to school, uni, or your exes, your closest friend, the time of day you normally feel a bit sad or anxious, or what time of month, week, or day you're most likely to make a large purchase. And you think Bill Gates wants to put a chip in you so he knows exactly what point you left your couch to go and take a shit in the middle of 90 Day Beyonce? Oh my god. Governor Andrew Cuomo has nipple piercings?
Other people just didn't really care about super spreading and took to the streets to protest, brandishing signs and shouting about Chinese communism, America being the land of the free and their roots.
We're tired of not being able to buy the things that we need, go to the hairdressers, get our hair done. It's time to open up.
Trump noticed many of these people were his supporters, so he pandered to them.
But some have gone too far.
One lady even came out of a packed church declaring that she didn't need to worry because she was covered in Jesus' blood.
I'm covered in Jesus'
But what
blood.
about other people who don't go to this church who you might encounter?
All of these people go to this church.
No, but you're going to be in places where other people
I go to the grocery store every day. I'm in Walmart, Home Depot, all of those
But you
people.
could get them sick from what happens in
They
the
could
church.
get me sick, but they're not because I'm covered in his blood. Thank you very much.
I'm sure as soon as she gets onto the freeway as well, she's going to take that seatbelt off and just let Jesus take the wheel. The hoarding continued, and over in Australia, a man who was either worried about a shortage or was just planning a pretty heavy curry night for 20 people with IBS, stocked up on thousands and thousands of toilet rolls, only to try and return them later.
And I had my first customer yesterday who said he wanted to get a refund on 150 packets of 32-pack toilet paper and 150 units of 1 litre sanitizer. I told him that.
And one Brooklyn man was caught with nearly 1 million N95 masks in an attempt to sell them to hospitals that inflated prices. Then we had the mayor of Las Vegas saying she offered up the citizens of her city to be a control group for a social distancing experiment live on TV.
We offered to be a control group. Anybody who knows anything about statistics knows that, for instance, you have a vaccine.
You're offering
you give the real
the
vaccine.
citizens of Las Vegas to be a control group to see if your theory on social distancing.
works or doesn't work.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just
What I
said we'll be a
was,
control group.
Excuse me. What I said was I offered to be a control group, and I was told by our statistician you can't do that because people from all parts of Southern Nevada come in to work in the city. And I said, oh, that's too bad.
Mayor, if
When asked what she was going to do to prepare Las Vegas's businesses for the new measures that would have to be imposed, what do you think her response was?
That's not my job, unfortunately.
in another
That's not
interview
my
that
job.
you talked, I just want to put up for our viewers, this is a restaurant.
Anderson, you are tough.
No, I'm not
We're
talking
back
about
to China. This isn't China. This is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow. Okay, that's really ignorant. This is a restaurant, and the
That's
yellow
ignorant to
circle.
say
That's an
we're-
ignorant statement. That's a restaurant, and yes, it's in China, but there are human beings too.
I wish I could just inherit a highly paid job from my husband and then just go around telling people that my job was not my job because literally no one was going to sack me. That woman's living the perfect life.
So, Mooncat, now Jeff Bezos has died and passed on the job of CEO of Amazon onto you. What are you going to do to combat the issue of the AI-controlled prime delivery drones becoming sentient and declaring a civil war against our people?
Look, I've been alive almost 70 years now. I've seen drones come and go before. None of them have ever killed me.
But Mom, they've started dropping bombs instead
They
of
can
parcels.
deal with it. It's not my job.
And moving on to other people who are not fit for their job. Over here we had Health Secretary Matt Hancock taking the wheel of our pandemic response. A man who clearly does not understand the concept of social distancing at all. We also had a speech from the Queen like it was Christmas Day. All in all, just a pretty bog standard Queen speech. The only thing I could think about when watching it though was how her dress would make an awesome green screen and how I could edit it to make it look like the latest drop from LuLaRoe.
Head of state, but make it fashion. Addressing the nation, but make it fashion. Global pandemic, but make it fashion.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
May came around and we were still stuck inside with our cats. We still hadn't got the hang of this mask thing, and Chick-fil-A went all out and put their frontline staff in small tents. And if this year wasn't Black Mirror-esque enough for you yet, they started making hospital beds that turned into coffins by folding in on themselves, like all of our hopes and dreams. Most of us were just eating ourselves out of house and home, but Alex Jones, true to form, was planning on eating his neighbours.
And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up my neighbor, how I'm going to haul him up by a chain and chop his ass up? I'll do it. My children aren't going hungry. I will eat your ass. And that's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass.
It wouldn't surprise me if cannibalism was his next groundbreaking vitamin supplement for weight loss. Elon Musk officially became a Corona Karen, but the billionaire tech giant version of a Corona Karen, and started protesting the lockdown via Twitter before actually suing California for not letting him carry on making cars. Then he let a cat walking across a keyboard name his new child. Fun fact, baby X-A12 doesn't actually wear nappies. He self-drives himself to the potty on a tiny Segway and just shits out a USB stick every couple of hours. And excuses after excuses came for not wearing masks.
Created in the image and likeness of God. When we think of image, do we think of a chest or our legs or our arms? We think of their face. I don't want to cover people's faces, Jim. That's the image of God right there, and I want to see it in my brothers and sisters.
And then we had what was probably peak privileged Karen. We had a lady declaring that she had a medical condition, Karenitis.
I'm not allowed to wear a mask, and I'm not required by HIPAA rules and regulations to disclose that.
Okay, can we shop for you?
So, what does that look like? I have private things I want to get that maybe I don't want you to
shop
see.
for you, but I can't let you in the store without a mask.
Okay, so where's the regulations that state that?
The regulation?
Yeah.
That is company.
Because you're discriminating against me now. Do you know that?
I'm
You're discriminating
offering
against
that
me.
we can help.
Why are you happy?
Normally I'm a bartender and I wouldn't have a job.
Why are you happy? Oh my god. I wonder where Trolley Man is now. I hope he's still dancing. One Karen even wore a mask on every part of her body apart from her mouth and nose, asking, if the masks work, why the 6 feet? If the 6 feet works, Why the masks? If both work, why the lockdown? I'd love to know what it's like living with this woman day to day with her logic.
Hang on. If breakfast works, why lunch? And if lunch works, why dinner? And if all of them bring us nourishment in order to stay alive, why eat?
Then a 5-year-old kid who clearly took Jake Paul's financial freedom course stole his parents' SUV and drove it down the freeway towards California in order to buy himself a Lambo cash with the $3 in his piggy bank, still making him closer to buying a Lamborghini than Amy Sangster ever was. He got stopped by the police and no one was hurt, thankfully. Oh, and heartwarming story time, guys. An entrepreneur from Utah who owns an actual Lambo came to visit him the next day to take him for a ride, inspiring other children from all over the world to steal their parents' SUVs too. Aww. But you guys, I wonder what a millionaire from Utah does for a living. And over in internet land, we had our first contestant for Arsehole of the Month. We had hilarious TikToker Fuck Joshi spilling cereal and milk all over the subway, as if essential workers weren't already dealing with enough, and then releasing an apology video plastered with his own branding. It was pretty darn clear to anyone who knows how to use a knife and a fork that this guy was not being sincere, especially since he was at one point selling a Joshi spilled cereal on me hoodie on his now defunct website. Over on Twitch, also competing for Arsehole of the Month, we had Invader V. Yes, during a global pandemic where millions of people were losing jobs and were just looking for any free entertainment to escape, Invader V thought this would be a great opportunity to patronize people to increase her sub count.
So being like, I'm broke, I can't afford to sub, that doesn't really track. What you mean to say is, I'm so irresponsible with my money, I can't support the entertainment that I enjoy.
So guys, I don't know if you actually realize, but I have a Patreon. Yeah. It's only £3 per month, but if you guys are responsible with your money, you would be able to afford that. Oh, you think you need those £3 for your child's school lunch? Subscribe today and you'll get access to podcasts and any extra BTS content that I upload there. And you'll be supporting the entertainment that you enjoy.
Rapper 6ix9ine was released under house arrest, but somehow released a song, albeit a bad one. Not content with the amount of snitching he'd done while inside, soon he was snitching on Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber for cheating their way to the top of the Billboard chart, which was vehemently denied.
They bought 30,000 and so units with 6 credit cards.
Silly 6ix9ine. Doesn't he realise that Justin Bieber just subtly suggests that his fans inflict auditory torture on themselves in their sleep whenever he wants to top the charts?
Yeah, you got that.
May the 27th arrived with the tragic and distressing story of George Floyd. I don't need to tell you or show you what happened, and I'm not covering many of the sadder things that happened this year in order to keep this video more upbeat and fun, but it would be wrong not to mention this. And I also think it's important that we don't forget that this happened amongst everything else that happened this year, because it was a major step forward for the movement and it should be remembered. Soon after, Black Lives Matter protests emerged, but much or most of the violence being started by the police, who were meant to be there to protect the people that they were injuring. The main focus of the movement was police brutality and injustice towards black communities. June came around and the officer Derek Chauvin was eventually charged with second-degree murder. But it didn't take long for the idiots to come along and take advantage of the situation. Yes, Jake Paul. Jake was caught amongst a group of people who were looting a closed mall, brandishing his vlog camera, trying to document the events, and was surprised when this was perceived badly. Jake then uploaded a video called "The Looting Situation Explained, Will Delete Soon." And you can always trust a narcissist to start off an apology video stating that due to his senseless actions, he was the top trending topic on Twitter that day.
So over the weekend, as I'm sure a lot of you guys probably saw, I became the #1 trending topic on Twitter.
And then spent a whole 7 minutes and 48 seconds so far up his own bumhole, he'd actually tied himself into a knot.
To me, felt no different from when I went down to help with the hurricanes in Houston, to when I went to Parkland, Florida to be ground floor with the students there after they had a horrific school shooting. Since I was a kid, I've constantly volunteered for organizations, donated to charitable causes, and wanted to be involved in my community. And it personally upsets me when people have the power to make a difference and they don't. It's easy to just post something on social media, which I've done. It's easy just to donate to a cause, which I've done.
Wow, a $5,000 donation to a BLM charity. Great, but just out of interest though, how much were you paid to promote gambling to children that one time, Jake? Just ballpark figure. He actually became a pretty good example for the movement in the end by proving that privileged white men can literally get away with anything, such as taking the credit for someone else's BLM fundraiser, which you linked next to your apology video, which was not an apology. The video ended with Jake looking wistful and despondent, deep in thought. Well, as deep as Jake thoughts can go, so I guess he was probably concentrating on breathing and blinking.
You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people. They're gonna scan everybody. We gotta get scanned. We gotta get temperatured. What happened to Bill Gates? Why is he not in jail? Why is Hillary Clinton not in jail? Oh, is it because you're part of them? Are you part of the deep state?
Your time has expired.
The deep state is going down. And if any of you are in the deep state, you're going down with it.
Yes, it seems that this woman ordered the conspiracy box set, binge watched it in an afternoon, booked tickets to the Pizzagate tour, and bought the t-shirt.
This is my homemade mask that your official said is okay to wear. This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear.
Because you made a mask out of some underpants that you ripped up and scrawled the word placebo on it in marker pen, and now you've ended up with a contraption that barely functions as either.
Things gotta breathe.
And then we had tantrums in stores, and it got even weirder when Tucker Carlson took on Elmo during one of his Fox News rants.
People are upset because racism is a huge problem in our country. Across the country, people of color, especially in the black community, are being treated unfairly because of how they look.
Children's show. Got that, Bobby? America is a very bad place, and it's your fault. So no matter what happens, no matter what they do to you when you grow up, you have no right to complain. That's the message, and it starts very young.
Wow, does Tucker take every children's program so seriously?
So kids, what sound does a lion make? And where does a lion live?
In the jungle.
Did you know? Lions are an endangered species now. So that means many of them are living in these special sanctuaries where they and their babies get lots of help so that their population can grow.
Got that, Bobby? All the lions are almost all dead, and it's all your fault. No matter what the lions do to you when you grow up, Bobby, you can't complain.
And then we had more drama in the YouTube beauty community. Shane Dawson had a public freakout moment when Tati uploaded a video called "Breaking My Silence." I don't know why, because it's so relaxing to watch. It looks like she's in some kind of day spa.
As a result, the damage to my health, relationships, reputation, business, and general well-being have been enormous. The platform that I love.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
July arrived and we were halfway through this shit show of a year. But it wasn't going to get better anytime soon. Kanye West announced he was running for president. The US was considering blocking TikTok due to concerns that the Chinese were spying on them. I mean, I don't know what they're going to find out through TikTok, but...
Oh my god! I can taste the salt! That's ridiculous!
President Xi, the Americans, they're dipping their balls in soy sauce now. Yeah, soy sauce, And if you thought the Karening peaked last month, well, we raised the bar yet again. Mr. and Mrs. Karen went viral after brandishing firearms in the direction of some protesters. Someone really needs to remind them to live, laugh and love. The wall decals are not enough anymore. And then we had an epidemic of pandemic parties amongst our ever responsible influencers, who you can always trust to set a good example. And can you guess who threw the biggest party of all? Yes, surprise, surprise, it was our very own Jake Paul, throwing an absolute soiree with the inclusion of a digger which had a special scoop on it with a magnet that picks up drunk underage girls. Good job he took that 34,800 PPP loan, otherwise he might not have been able to afford it. An attendee of the party later tested positive and called the Paul brothers on camera to let them know that they'd been exposed. And that was the wake-up call Jake and his brother Logan really needed to start taking this seriously.
Are you worried about it?
Not really. I don't really give a fuck, but thanks for letting me know.
And then Dr. Stella Emanuel came to save 2020, proving that we'll believe anyone if they're saying what we want them to say while they're in a white coat that they could have bought from eBay for all that we know.
Cure for COVID is called hydroxychloroquine.
Dr. Emanuel went viral when she gave an impassioned speech declaring that hydroxychloroquine was the cure.
Very impressed with her and other doctors that stood with her, but certainly you could put her up and let her have a voice.
It turned out that if we were to believe everything Dr. Emanuel says, then everyone that's ever suffered from endometriosis has been having unprotected sex with demons and witches.
Evil deposits came inside of you. Serpentine spirits swimming inside of you.
Doctors are using alien DNA to cure us, and also demons and witches are stealing your money and sending it to a warlock named Jay-Z.
They've taken your money and given it to the warlock called Jay-Z.
Now he's got 100 problems. Oh, and the Magic 8-Ball toy is a scheme to get children used to black magic.
Am I the coolest person around?
Let your blood drink in the vaccine's alien DNA so humankind can accept the New World Order under the rule of Satan, and stream Jay-Z's new album on Tidal on repeat while you sleep.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
August arrived and the ratings on the Trump show were higher than ever. It was a bit like watching the most harrowing reality series you've ever seen, like a series of Big Brother where the public votes to give the cognitively challenged white supremacists access to the nuclear codes just to spice things up a bit. And then we're all surprised when it goes wrong and he doesn't understand graphs.
The United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world.
But Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion came to the rescue by releasing WAP, causing some backlash amongst conservatives who are getting women being in charge of their own sexuality confused with men being in charge of it. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion just set the entire female gender back by 100 years with their disgusting and vile WAP song. As a Christian, I find that WAP song by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion to be incredibly offensive and disgusting. That new WAP song by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion is exactly everything that is wrong with mainstream hip-hop culture. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are what happens when children are raised without God and without a strong father figure. Their new song, The WAP, which I heard accidentally, made me want to pour holy water in my ears, and I feel sorry for future girls if this is their role model. Have you been involved in a WAPcident that was not your fault? Perhaps you were driving with the radio on, and in shock upon hearing the words, "My head game is fire, Punani Dasani, it's going in dry and it's coming out soggy," you swerved into a ditch and wrote off your car, and now you can't get to work. Perhaps you're just an innocent blue-collar worker on a building site, complimenting some females as they walk past on their attire, and then you heard on the radio some women singing about their own body parts, and you couldn't work for the rest of the day because you were so disgusted. Perhaps you're a conservative politician and you're unable to work because you've worn down your thumbs to the bone from tweeting about it ever since. I'm here to help you get the compensation that is owed to you. Call us on 08453 WAPcident today. And then this led to Ben Shapiro making one of the best memes of 2020.
Hop on top, I want to ride, I do a Kegel while it's inside. So there's some signs of some actual clinical prolapse, which is a problem. There's some talk about where this person is putting their nose. But I mean, I understand how empowering it is for women to sing about the moisture state of their genitals. It's about wet ass P word.
I would love to hear this guy's dirty talk. I am going to put my P word into your P word. What is the moisture state of your P word? I am going to destroy your P word with facts and logic. Also, a moment of silence, please, for Ben Shapiro's wife, who has never experienced the WAP. No, Ben. Clearly you don't understand female anatomy. That's actually caused by demon sperm.
Evil deposits came inside of you.
And Tucker Carlson. The poor guy had only just recovered from his spat with Elmo, but then he crawled out of the cracks again to talk about Cardi B's crack.
The song is called WAP, WAP. We can't tell you what that stands for. We literally can't tell you what the name of the song is, much less its lyrics.
I allow you with that dry ass because your pH balance is off. And you wanna know why? It's not because you're born with it, it's because y'all keep these dirty ass. You gotta tell babe, yo, your more like mustard, my.
That's garbage. You don't need to be a Puritan to think so. It's garbage. It's aimed at young American girls, maybe your girls, your granddaughters. And what is it doing to them? Can you even imagine?
Teaching them about feminine hygiene? But what were Gen Z up to? Well, they didn't have a good month. Firstly, we had the TikTok Holocaust trend, which was just very tone-deaf reenactments of victims so kids could show off their stage makeup and acting skills. Look at how the dirt on my face from forced labour actually happens to really accentuate my cheekbones. I'm glad I didn't have access to tools like TikTok before my brain was properly developed. And then we had Bryce Hall in the news for throwing an absolute rager, dude. Now, I don't know who he is either, but look at his neck. Why is no one talking about how long his neck is? And oh look, they bought strippers for him as a birthday present. How original. And oh look, male strippers too. Because isn't it such a hilarious joke because he's not gay? Yeah, they bought him male strippers and he's not gay. Guys, look how uncomfortable he is. Toxic masculinity is just comedy gold. Eventually, the real non-stripper version of the LAPD came to dissipate the festivities. And fellow TikToker Cynthia Parker, no, I don't know who she is either, stop asking, was asked what she thought of the whole fiasco and proved how intelligent and worthy of a platform she is as well by demonstrating that she could contradict herself 12 times in one sentence.
What do you guys think about Bryce's party? Because a lot of people were saying that he might have had too many people over.
I mean, no comment, it's his 21st. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's his 21st, dude,
Yeah,
you know?
Cynthia, where were you on the night of the 14th of February 2020? I mean, no comment, but I did kill the guy. I can't imagine what it must be like to be Gen Z these days with all the cool kids just on this little rectangle that you keep in your pocket. Back in my day, we used to be bullied by these kids in real life. And guess who was back again? Our friend Jake Paul. This time he was getting raided by the FBI, who were on the search for his moral compass. We have to cut Gen Z some slack though, because they did have a pretty terrible time in August when the GCSE and A-level results came through in the UK. Due to COVID restrictions, the exams could not take place as usual, so the government thought it would be a great idea to hand out grades based on school performance and postcodes. Needless to say, that didn't go down very well.
Grades down from A star, AA to BCC. I had 4 offers from medical school and now that's over.
Can you imagine relying on an algorithm for your livelihood? Guys, please like, comment and subscribe. Eventually, the government did a massive U-turn and grades were awarded on the basis of teachers' predictions or algorithm-based grades, whichever was higher. And then we had the Stokes twins. Alan and Alex Stokes were in the news charged with a felony for crimes against Photoshop. Look, even their abs are twins. No, sorry, it was faking an armed bank robbery for a prank for their YouTube channel and terrorising an Uber driver because they caused the police to think that he was a getaway driver, so they pointed guns in his face. Well, what were the boomers up to? And then Elon Musk started up Neuralink. This was his new technology, which is an actual chip implanted into your skull, which can read your thoughts. Musk implanted the device into some pig skulls to demonstrate how it can detect electrical impulses in the brain. And Bill Gates is still the one to be afraid of, apparently.
It's a high energy pig.
It'd actually make a pretty sick beat.
What about pigs on a treadmill? 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 They're gonna treadmill. 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 High energy pig. High energy pig.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
September was here and we were just a few months away from the end of this god-awful year now, guys. But things weren't winding down yet. That woman from that Netflix series that we were all obsessed with in early lockdown, who might have killed her husband or might not have, was now on Dancing with the Stars, and her ex-husband's family read an ad in the break asking for any information on Don Lewis's disappearance and if Carol was involved.
Don Lewis mysteriously disappeared in 1997. His family deserves answers. They deserve justice. Do you know who did this or if Carol Baskin was involved?
She did a press junket for the show where she was interviewed multiple times, saying that she thought the Tiger King documentary portrayed her unfairly because the edit didn't put enough emphasis on the cats and portrayed her as a murderer. But I'd never do that.
And you talk about the show there, it highlighted kind of a beef you had, right? And we've seen how tenacious you can be against a rival. Now, should some of the other competitors be concerned that you're going to bring that same tenacity to the dance floor?
They should absolutely be concerned. The first person that crosses my path will be stuffed through a meat grinder and cooked into stew.
But the stupid didn't end there. We had a California gender reveal party and in a forest fire that spanned over 9,000 acres. Was it a boy or a girl though? Oh, it was a boy. Conceived by
demon sperm.
Evil deposits came inside of you.
Over in the UK, gender reveal parties aren't really a thing, thankfully. But for some reason, when a penguin called Squirt was born at a sanctuary, they thought it would be a good idea to throw a party for her on daytime TV.
We've got some of the team here with the cannons. Let's see what sex it is. Oh, it's a girl! Yes! Oh, one of the cannons.
Yay, it's a girl! And I'm sure the other penguins who regularly have sex with their dead relatives really give a fuck. You know what? Perhaps we should just not partake in the preservation of our species anymore. We're really not worth it anymore, are we? Perhaps we need to start making condoms mandatory. That would waste a lot of condoms though. Not very good for the environment. We'd need a more carbon neutral solution, wouldn't we? Oh god, not that! No. Where were they getting all these condoms from? Oh.
Now say what we used, a whole tube of KY jelly. Oh.
With the US election looming ever closer, The Rock came out with an endorsement for Biden and Harris wearing his patent-pending muscle condom, so he didn't accidentally impregnate any of the ladies who were watching. Trump supporters who voted a celebrity into office were angry that a celebrity was expressing their views. You are now Dwayne the Pebble to all in my family. I know, big deal. When will the entertainers learn to stay in their lane? I don't know why anyone would listen to high-paid celebrities. Carinitis was spreading much faster than COVID itself and developing strains that we had no idea how to deal with.
When George Floyd was saying, I can't breathe, and then he died, and now we're wearing a mask, and we say, I can't breathe, but we're being forced to wear it.
But what was Gen Z up to? October arrived and Elon's Neuralink was already getting a little bit too advanced. Ellen came back to her show with some controversy about how she treats her staff, especially those of colour. But with social distancing protocols in place, she introduced her new virtual audience. This worked in her favour in the end, as she didn't have to struggle to fill the studio with the few remaining fans that she had left, and she could just clone some of them to fill the benches out at the back. The cringe hit an all-time high though when the audience of the Kelly Clarkson show, using the same virtual audience technology, was subjected to Vin Diesel's new song, with none of them appearing to be dancing to the same beat.
Now, without further ado, here's a sneak peek of Vin's collaboration with Kygo. Feel like
what? Vin Diesel's new song. Okay, mute. Spotify. The election drama was on the rise, and conspiracies about the type of pen you could use on your ballot paper were thrown around. This lady with perfectly choreographed backup glarers to make her point.
It's not just me. It's like I have groups of neighbors and friends that as well this has happened to. But what happens is now when you go to check our ballot, it says that it is for me, personally, it says I'm not even a registered voter now.
Trumpy boy, surprise, surprise, contracted COVID after spending the whole year politicising the wearing of masks and downplaying the seriousness of the issue. That didn't deter his fans though. During an unnecessary motorcade where he put multiple staff members at risk just to show people he wasn't dead.
Anybody want to mess with him, you mess with me first. He is a hero, that man. Bless our president. I will die for him. I will die for that man, happily. I will die for him.
Well, you just might. Trump was eagerly trying to convince people he was okay by posing for pictures whilst in hospital, signing blank sheets of paper with a Sharpie, and the White House released a video which had an unusual edit in it which appeared to be a cough that was cut out.
Soundly, so many things have happened. If you look at the therapeutics, which...
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure I've not caught it yet, and I'm feeling pretty tip-top, better than I've ever been. We were 5 months into various lockdowns by now. Millions of people had lost their jobs, thousands were unwell, or had had relatives pass away at this point, and we hadn't seen many of our friends or family in what seemed like a lifetime. But our Kim K was like, hey guys, look at me, celebrating my 40th birthday. On a private island with my inner circle. I'm so humbly reminded of how privileged I am. And we all felt so much better knowing that they were having a great time. It was revealed that Kim K and her inner circle complained that the shindig was not tone deaf enough. So the DJ spun this.
Burn this thing! Burn this thing! Over!
November arrived and election day arrived soon after. America seemed more divided than ever before. In states where Trump was losing, we had chance of count the votes, and in states where Trump was winning, we had chance of stop the count. Eventually, after days and days of refreshing news websites, Biden was declared president-elect, while Trump's team held a press conference at, yes, Four Seasons Total Landscaping, a place which does fittingly describe politics in general, full of old white men and somewhere between a sex shop and a crematorium. Rudy Giuliani was running the press conference and learnt of the win whilst at the podium, to which his response was,
Wow! All the network!
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Kenneth Copeland was more sane than ever.
The Associated Press said that Joe Biden is president.
But if you're ever wondering how some of the American people could be so convinced that the election was rigged, I invite you to have a skip through the entire 6-hour-long news coverage from the election from Victory News, which is a network owned and run by Kenneth Copeland Ministries. The entire time throughout, they are projecting a win for Trump.
I think he squeaks out Pennsylvania.
And at that point, I think he will pick up a lot of the other states.
And people are seeing that Biden still has a major lead. Well, first of all, we're calling a lot of states for Biden, and not we, but the AP has called a lot of states for the Biden that are predicted to go for Joe Biden, even though a lot of those votes have not come in yet. But President Trump is picking up a lot of states that, even though the numbers are in for President Trump, they are still yet to be called. I think both of those, North Carolina and Georgia, will go for Trump. Alaska right now is predicted to go for Trump. Wisconsin looks like it's going for Trump as well. And Michigan.
These are all trending that way.
Right.
They're trending that
all
way.
Right there.
Not looking at Pennsylvania.
Without Pennsylvania.
And if they all go that way, it's 274 for the president.
Imagine someone watching that for the whole election night for 6 hours. And then the mainstream media, which they have been trash talking all night, announces Biden has won the election. And that's just one ministry out of hundreds and hundreds in the US who could be doing very similar things to this. Now, don't get me wrong, I know not all religion is this extreme. I mean, the Pope, in the meantime, was just kicking back on Instagram, just liking thirst trap pictures of girls in Catholic schoolgirl uniforms. And as the votes were being counted, we had Trump's very own personal televangelist, Paula White.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now.
They've been dispatched? What do you mean they've been dispatched? Like the courier?
They've even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now.
FedEx? UPS?
Africa right now. They're coming.
Do you have a tracking number? Wait. Let me get a pen and paper. What the?
Burn this thing. Burn this thing. Over.
December arrived. Woo! Nearly there. The nuclear fallout from the election was still going on. But over in the UK, we were arguing whether Scotch eggs were a substantial meal.
If you're in tier 2, you can only serve alcohol with a substantial meal. Some of my listeners have been asking, what constitutes a substantial meal? Scotch egg?
I myself would definitely scoff a couple of Scotch eggs if I had the chance.
Alright, that's enough about your love life, Gove. Belle Delphine officially saved 2020 for simps after she announced she was entering the world of adult filmmaking, and ever the marketing genius was planning on selling the used condom from her first film. I'm sorry, Belle, but I've heard of this place in Vietnam where you can get like 50 of those for like a few quid. And they even clean and reshape them for you. Now that's service. And what excuses were there for not wearing a mask this month?
We don't have the vibrational frequency to host that virus. And I taught her that.
I just have so many questions. I don't know if they mean everyone or just them. Did they change their own vibrational frequency in order to not catch the virus? If so, how did they do that? Don't answer that. I am alive! In all seriousness though, in December we celebrated both the US and the UK having their first vaccines administered to members of the public. And in November, Biden won, and as I'm recording this, even though Trump has not conceded, he's also not getting anywhere. And things have really started to look up. There's a lot of work to do, but we've started. And we'll carry on, and we'll get through this. I mean, it seems like the last few years have progressively got worse and worse and worse, so following that trajectory, 2021 is going to be even worse. In all seriousness though, I think things will definitely improve in 2021. And I think we've already had a lot of clues to suggest that it will be a lot better. And you can expect some more deep dives from me, at least in 2021. I will promise that to you, along with some silly fun stuff too, just to keep myself sane. And I'm excited to see where this YouTube channel takes me this year. Anyway, we know at this point that we do end the longer videos on a Mooncat musical note. So here's the 2020 Rewind Jam. Don't forget to check out the merch and the Patreon where I'm doing some extra content, and check out Surfshark as well, don't forget.
It's the 2020 rewind. 2020 rewind.
The Associated Press said that Joe Biden is president.
We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
you'd like to see some extra bits of content, little podcasts, and any behind the scenes stuff that I post on there. Okay, thank you. Love you. Bye. Bye.
The future holds unexposed danger, but no stress. Humankind is no stranger to progress. And as we've proven, when we collaborate, progress follows fast. We dictate what the future holds, because today's present is tomorrow's past.